YouTubers, I'm laughing because this is take number 12, and I never do a lot of takes. And so I'm laughing that if this take does not happen, I am going to not do this. I am going to leave it until Friday. But it is Tuesday, and Tuesday we read. If you just stumbled upon this video and you don't know who I am, my name is Lebupule. I am an author. I'm an author, I'm a memoirist. I've written 2 memoirs with the third one in the oven. I'm also a life coach. I'm a teacher. I have a private space on Patreon for more of my teachings and coaching. If you are interested in such, all you do is Patreon. You just type patreon.com stroke or slash Lebupule's work, and you will find me there. You can join whichever membership speaks to you. But here on YouTube, I read, I reflect, I share some thoughts, and I am this is my effort of trying to get you to own and share your own story, whether you share your own story in a book format like me, or you write blogs, or you vlog, or you write essays. But I feel it's really, really important that we start sharing our own stories, and we're creating our own narrative, especially as Black women in South Africa. I keep saying this in most of my videos. It feels like it's an urgent thing to do. And the more I reflect on why it feels urgent is because I just feel like there is a lot that's changing in 2025. There's a lot that's changing in the world, such that we really need to take our baggages and put them down so we can move on and sort of enter this new era that the year 2025 is bringing with. And I'll elaborate on those. I elaborate on such things on my Patreon, when we do the deep dive. But so for today, I'm also, the reason it's take number 12 is because I am a bit nervous about what I want to share. I'm going to read on a small part, and then I'm going to reflect more. And the reason I want to do that is because I have more reflection than what is written here. So what's written here is obviously an experience, moments, things that truly happened, but I have reflections on them now that I'm a grown woman. I'm 49 now. And these stories, a lot of these experiences, a lot of these moments that are written in book 1 happened in my young childhood up until around age 32. So it's really reflections of someone who was at the time very, very young. And I'm not saying that they don't matter or they're not important, but as you grow and you evolve and you read your own then, but it doesn't nullify it, it doesn't make it less relevant. So I want to reflect on my relationships, and I'm going to read, maybe let me read that aspect first, and then reflect on some things and see what you pick up, what you resonate with, what you relate to. And if you are able to, please do share on the comments. I would love, love, love to hear your experiences. I know these are early days. I know I'm new on YouTube, but it would be nice to see some comments there. And again, if the comments are a bit too public, if YouTube comment section is a bit too public for you, you can always just join me on Patreon and comment today, because this video will be on Patreon as well. So let me just go ahead and read, and then I will reflect from there. Okay, so let us do the classes thing. Let me read from this angle today. When I was in a relationship, I did everything. I never wanted to be vulnerable. Instead, I wanted to become the man. I wanted to be the man. At face value, my choice in men seemed varied. But when I scratched the surface, it was clear each time I fell for the same person in different guises. They would usually be a little bit damaged, emotionally needy or emotionally unavailable, financially broke, or financially unstable. They would present with some level of low self-esteem and very little confidence. Subconsciously, I shied away from men who did not present with needs because it was so important for me to be needed. I thought they would not like me if I needed them. I always insisted on paying a bill or at least going 50-50 on dates. I would pressure my men to tell me about their issues or deep dark secrets. If they had no problem, if he had no problems for me to solve, I could be of no use. The deeper, the darker, the bigger the problem, the more I was turned on. I had serious issues. Remember, I was young, I was in my 20s, and when I reflect on that label, because that label, traces of that label still show up. So I'm reflecting now as a 49-year-old woman on the relationships that were significant that I had. And I'm not talking flings or things that were neither here nor there. I'm talking about a full-on relationship that went on for years. And when I look back, and I look back on the one that just recently ended. I ended a relationship quite recently in 2023. And in as much as I was not really the rescuer, I was not Bob the building per se, there were a there were traces of me of rescuing and of trying to help, of trying to heal, of pushing, an agenda of healing to in his face, of trying to get him to be where I think he needs to be emotionally, psychologically, and so on. Financially, probably not so much. I wasn't really helping that much. I wasn't Bob the building in that sense, but I was in other ways where, he needs to be fixed somehow. And I'm thinking of the another relationship, way long before this one, where I would do that even more, where financially I would be the one who had more and wanting to fix and rescue and fix and just fix a guy up, Bob the Builder, literally. And I'm thinking back to another one. So I'm thinking back to three very significant ones, including in my marriage. In as much as I was very young in my marriage, those traces of Bob the Building were there. And I'm wondering, I'm reflecting, obviously, as a life coach, I do know where those things come from and why is it. And that's why I'm sharing here with you. And I'm going and you can't when it comes to relationship, there's just no way that you can't go back to childhood or to your home, and I'm thinking of my relationship with my dad because the first man that you fall in love with, whether you are aware that you are falling in love or not, is always the man in your father or a father figure or a prominent male figure that was important in your life as a child, whether it was an uncle, a grandfather, or your main father, or your stepfather, or a guardian. And with me, it was my dad. And I remember how I've always just wanted my dad's attention. I've wanted nothing more than my dad's attention, for my dad to love me, for my dad to want me. And my dad was not there. My dad was emotionally completely unavailable, and completely unavailable not only to me, but also to my mom. I mean, there's a part in the book where I share of how my dad would be very quiet every day, every Monday to Friday, Monday to Thursday, he would wake up, go to work, come back, open a newspaper, read a newspaper, grant things or so like no communication, no conversation, unless it's about something that's happening in the news on TV, but one-liners, And I know that I speak for many because a lot of us who grew up in the 80s and the townships, we had more or less similar experiences of fathers like that. And still, I wanted him to love me because I think as my dad, I think as a little girl, you love your parents, you love your mom, you love your dad. And so I fast forward that little girl's memory and that little girl's experience rather, and I bring it to my dating world. And I realize that the person that I'm actually trying to rescue in these men is my dad. Uh, uh, and most of the men that I had, in as much as they presented with love and all that, they were in their own unique ways, completely unavailable emotionally, including the very, very last one, completely unavailable emotionally, just like my dad. They had some form of trauma, pain issue, like all of us. I mean, we don't come out of this life unscarred, it's just that some traumas are deeper than others. So they also had presented with some form of low self-esteem, some issues, nyana, like my dad. So you're busy trying to fix a man, and deep down, you're actually trying to fix your dad. You're looking for your dad. So anytime you find yourself wanting to save someone, it doesn't actually necessarily have to be in romantic relationships per se. It could be in friendships, it could be in any circles, it could be at work even. If you are the martyr, the rescuer, the savior, the one that everybody goes to, the one that is just helping. Check if there is someone in your family, in your child, with your mommy or daddy that you wanted to help, that you wanted to rescue. It's most probably your dad. or an earlier father figure or an earlier male figure. Because of our history as South African women and the relationship dynamics in our home, we find that we bob the build almost. One of my friends was saying, perhaps it's a rite of passage. Maybe not, but it's a trauma response. So I'm wondering if this whole, this rescue syndrome that we all have, in as much as, yes, for me, it comes from Lebu, the 9-year-old, Lebu, the 8-year-old. But a lot of our mothers also, if you really think about it, if you really sit and reflect and think about your mother and think about maybe your friend's mother or your aunt or, your cousin's mother, you would find that a lot of Black women actually were doing the Bob the Building, which leaves a big question mark about really who's who in the relationship. Is the whole thing of men providing a narrative that we are sold, or is it true? So where am I now in terms of seeing relationships or my approach to relationships, still healing, still on a deep healing journey. And I know that one of the best places to heal is in a relationship. You can say however much that you are healed. The proof is in the pudding. You can say, oh, no, I'm healing and I've healed, and you are single. Get into a relationship so that we see how you've healed. So only relationships can tell you where you are. But where I think I am in my psyche, I feel like I am out. I don't know if outgrowing is the right word, but I feel like I am leaving behind all sorts of labels when it comes to relationships. I mean, I wouldn't obviously go for a deadbeat and someone who really doesn't resonate, does not vibrate at the same, level as I believe I am. But I would like to believe that I want to enter relationships as pure as I can, seeing the person for who he is, not what they have or don't have. Um, and when issues appear in relationships, I will I will apply what I've learned, which is anything that shows up in a relationship, anything that shows up in your partner, the person you are dating, it's usually a reflection of you. It's usually something that you have, especially if you think, red flags. You know how we like to say red flags, red flags. Look for red flags. Those red flags are saying something about you. They're not saying you have those issues. They are probably saying that you still have a wound around that aspect. You still have a fear around whatever that aspect is. For an example, if a red flag for you is a man who is financially careless or financially unstable. And I lose finances because, Mzansi women, finances first when it comes to relationships in general, not all, not all. So let's say financially he's not the man that you want, or he's not stable enough, or he's not earning the type. And for you, you see that as a red flag. It talks to some conditioning as well. So it's things that you need to look into. For an example, if you really, really like the guy and you are bothered by that, maybe go deep and figure out what exactly is it about this situation that bothers me. What is it triggering? What is it reminding me of? Where is it taking me? And as much as you can, please go back to childhood, because that's most of our issues originates there. Because where else would they originate? Where else? We start our lives in childhood, and we a lot of formative things, a lot of things get concretized in childhood. And I don't only mean 0 to 7 or 0 to 10. Also in teenhood, a lot of things get solidified there, such that you are 29 or you are 39 or you are 40, and meanwhile you approach relationships like a 12-year-old. So if his inability to provide the kind of life that you think he should, if his finances are not the kind of finances that you think he needs to have, who is that? Who in you is bothered by that? Because I tell you now, you'll find that it's not the 42-year-old you that's bothered by that. It's not the 35-year-old you that's bothered by that. It's most probably some younger version of you And that's what needs to be taken care of. I hope I'm making sense. And the reason I say this with confidence, particularly if you are working and you are middle class and you're watching this YouTube video, you are probably in your middle class and you probably have, and well, therefore, a guy's earnings cannot be a thing, because even if he doesn't earn well, you earn well. No one is saying take care of him. No one is saying take care of him. So if his inability to earn like you or more than you is a problem, whose problem is it? Is it you, the 42-year-old? Is it the 20-year-old? Is it the 12-year-old? Go there. Are you with me? Go there, go deep and figure out exactly what's going on. And so, yeah, those are my small reflections for today. Am I still a rescuer? No, I don't think I am. I would like to believe that I'm not. I am not in a relationship at this stage. And I'm looking forward to my next one. If it comes. If not, oh well. And I will enter it with eyes open, as we all do. But if the issues of the rescuer, the savior show up, then all it means is that there's a lot more work that I need to do, and also bearing in mind that as a healer, because I do consider myself a teacher and a healer and a coach, a memoirist. If you're a memoirist and you're a coach, you are a healer. I consider myself a healer in that aspect. As a healer, you will draw to yourself people who need some form of healing, And sometimes it's not that deep. Sometimes you are drawn to each other because, he needs to do a little bit of work and you are there to reflect that work to him. And you will also get some form of healing yourself from your relationship, however long it lasts, whether it's a relationship for a season, for a reason, or for a lifetime. There's some lessons that will come up for both of you. So relationship spaces are the best place to heal and to learn. And I think the fact that we have such a widespread Bob the Builder syndrome, it says a lot about our own, as women, as Black women, our own issues around money, around provision, around lack, and around receiving, And I'm sure we can talk about that some other time, or we'll deepen on that maybe with another video, because then that will take me to another long tangent. So maybe next video, we'll see if we talk about our inability to really open our hearts wide and receive. Because I know that when a woman heals, men heal. And I think this is why it's more women that are drawn to healing spaces than men. I think this is why it's more women who are drawn to churches or spiritual spaces than men, because it's almost like we have an innate knowing that our healing is crucial. Because when a woman heals, a man heals, It's similar to that thing that says, when you educate a woman, you educate the whole nation. When you educate a man, you educate a man. When you educate a woman, you educate the whole society or the whole community. I think when you heal a woman, when a woman heals, everybody heals, I think. When I have a friend whose mother went to therapy, and when the mother started going to therapy, everything in the house started to settle. The chaos in their relationships. I mean, even though she wasn't living in the mother's house, but the fact that the mother was seeing a counselor, was seeing therapy, her healing was impacting their healing, was impacting them somehow. So there's magic in this healing thing. So instead of pushing your man to go heal, to go for counseling, to go for therapy, you do the work. You be the one that does the work, So yeah, my rescuer syndrome, is it still there? If it's still there, then all it means is that there's more work to be done. That's all. And if it leaves, then good riddance. Because you shouldn't be rescuing people. You should really just be healing yourself. This is my story. I can't wait to hear yours. Until next video.